Ladies and gentlemen, what is up? Joe of all vapes, kicking it to you once again, bringing you some new stuff every single time you get to see my glorious gray-chinned mug. You know what I'm saying? If this is your first time tuning in, thank you very much. Please consider subscribing, hit that notification button. We'll get some of the greatest, latest, and most awesomest vape devices, e-liquid, you name it, I'll have it. Hopefully, eventually. Those of you that can think that far back and have been following me as long as you've been following me know that I did some of the first reviews on the rev-tech mods, the very first ones, the first 3 that came out, and then I did some giveaways. It was a big hit, massive, thousands of views, all kinds of happy stuff. Thank you so much for your awesome support on that stuff. Well, I've been sticking it with rev-tech for quite some time. They've been sticking it with me, keeping me informed, and sent me their brand newest rev-tech Phantom 220 mod in black. Now, they didn't make it in green, so, you know, black is pretty much black and white. They're neutral as heck, right? So black, yeah, I'm not complaining. It's awesome enough as it is. I'm going to read you off a list of just some of the good stuff that comes with this. 2.8-inch glass screen, quartz-level hard Panda glass, whatever that is, vibration effect, 32 megabyte onboard memory, leather look back cover, all-round protection, and a firmware upgradeable. Of course, nothing these days comes without a solid firmware upgrade. This thing I've been playing with a little bit. Now, here's the only downfall mentally, and it may be just because I'm spoiled or just because I am fussy the way that I am and can be sometimes. It's a dual 18650. Why they made it a dual 18650, I really don't know. I think it might have been a cost-effective measure. I don't really get why they didn't jump on the 2700 bandwagon. They could have easily made it compatible with an 18650 sleeve, or, you know, a little slider deck or something like that, like a lot of the other mods are doing, but I digress. It's still a damn good mod. I played with it just a little bit, haven't even fired it because it comes with a brand new Phantom tank, and of course, mesh coil. Everything is mesh coil these days. So, right here with me and you, we're gonna take a look at this thing, bust it apart, look at some of the incredibly simple functions, and I'm not for once going to get so massive down and dirty into this it's going to bore your pants off, because this thing they made so friggity simple, it's going to knock your socks off, man. I just going through some of the menu functions, it was so incredibly simple. So let's do that, check it out, take the camera above once again, give it a good solid vape, and we'll talk a little more. rev-tech. All right, now the quick button guide, believe it or not, I didn't even use this guy because check it out, no pages, right? You gotta love it, right? No pages. Simple, effective, press fire button 5 times, bet you didn't know that you had to do that, turn it on. Adjust the wattage and the temp, enter stealth mode, Oh, it's even got a pin lock device, press fire button 3 times, and the pin must be enabled and set in the menu. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to bust this out of the box. We're going to start right off. Nope, I'm not going to look in the box. I'm not going to show you anything else. We're just going to talk about the mod. So traditionally speaking, you've got the fire button, the up and down ramp, the menu button. The new thing is the repositioned USB charge port right on the side. And you've got this little rubber gaskety looking little dude here. That just covers over the hole so you don't get anything caught in the dirt and grime and dust and everything like that. I take my mods to work, and it's kind of a messy environment sometimes. So that's good to not get any of that grit in there. The battery cover is pretty slick, of course. Full metal battery cover with little magnets holding this bad boy on. Boom, ain't gonna come off. So everything is pretty sleek. I like the little knurled grips here on the side. It gives you a pretty good hold. The 2.8-inch screen is pretty sizable, flush 510. Everything has a very nice look to it and a solid feel. So we're going to turn this bad boy on. Now, if you didn't hear that, it was a happy little fanciful buzz. So this is one of the dashboard screens that you can choose from, and that is the clock. pretty awesome clock. The main gripe that I have for the clock is because these things are made in China. That's my only excuse I can possibly come up with. They do everything in a 24-hour clock. I don't know why you cannot adjust to a US 12-hour system for whatever reason. I really don't know. But it is 7:17 in the PM right now. Eventually, it's going to be getting into the 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 military time. There's nothing you can do about it. Mode. Choose and select various power and temperature settings. Now, you can go back and forth by pressing up or down on the ramp button. Right now, we're going to go into mode. So you can select power, stainless steel, titanium, nickel, or temperature control firing. We're going to stick this at power because I like to manually adjust. Bypass, awesomeness, simple interface once again, on or off. Do we want straight battery power like it's an unregulated, or do we want variable wattage? I want variable wattage, so I'm going to leave the bypass off. VTC, set the variable temperature curve to control temp by the second. I'm not really going to even worry about any of that, so what I'm going to do is just hold in the menu there, just bring us right back, because I don't dig into any of that kind of stuff. Some people do, I don't. Variable power curve to control power by the second. This is something that I have explored in other mod reviews before, other rev-tech mod reviews before. It's basically just like a power coefficient recurve mode. You can literally adjust the power per the second in little waves up or down, depending on how warm or soft or hard or whatever you want to hit the coil initially. Not really going to worry about that right now, but I just wanted to show you guys just in case you wanted to play around with something like that. The color mode, pretty obvious. So we're cycling between blue. It might not look like blue. On the upper left hand, you got the blue, and then sort of a brownish sienna color, if you will. Then like purple, yellow. Then you've got a violet, green, red, and then of course white. I like green, so we're gonna hit the fire button, set that in. Boom. Gonna go to the next function, dashboard. Here are all the dashboards. This is the one I like. You can use this one, or this one, or this one is a little bit more traditional of their original mods. This guy here, which is very cool, kind of looks like a shield. Boom, boom, very cool. Boom, futuristic action right there, boom. Or this one, which is the one that I had it at. We're gonna try something just a little bit different, just because for the heck of it. Let's keep it at that one. Why not, okay? Cool beans. And now we're going to go to the display mode. Set the duration of your mod display. That pretty much lets you push whatever amount of time that you want the display to be kept at. So you want it on at 10 seconds at a time before it goes into standby, 20 seconds, or 60 seconds. I like to go for the Gustone because I have the ability to pump electricity into my home and charge this thing up whenever I want to. 60 seconds it is. So we're going to go to the next function, brightness, simple, like I said, ramp all the way down. If you just want to take it down as, totally low as possible, ramp it all the way up, boom, brightness. And then light mode, set the light mode. Do we want it on or off? Simple, on. Breathing, multi or custom. The cool thing is, this is the light. This is what I was talking about, the light around the fire button. You can either set it to multi, where it will just change multiple colors when you hit the fire button. Breathing, where it just kind of goes wow, wow, with a light every time you hit the fire button. Or custom. I've never played around with custom before. So red, green, and blue, that's kind of cool. So you can kind of play around with different levels of red or green or blue and just kind of up and down. That is a totally new function. Very, very cool. Right now, I'm going to leave it at breathing. It's still going to change the colors, and because I kind of like that little up and down, that little in and out, like it's literally breathing light. The next one is the vibration. Now, this is one of their biggest little additives that they've been just raving about, is that little vibration motor in the mod. And you can actually hear it. So the tactile interface is very important for a lot of people because basically it just gives them the opportunity to know that something is actually happening. You don't have to leave the tactile interface on if you do not want to, which means you can just shut the vibration function off. But guess what, folks? It is just as simple as that. What you see is what you got. Ohm counter, amps, volts, mode, which is power, VPC. I don't know why that's switched to VPC. Obviously, I wasn't paying attention somewhere. So we're going to switch. We're going to go all the way back to mode. Power is what we want. Okay, so there we go. Now, factory reset. Obviously, you'll have to use the factory reset at least once or twice when it comes to firmware upgrading. Puff reset, we all know what that is. There's a puff counter on pretty much every major mod coming out these days, the modern ones at least. And the pin lock function. Here's what we can do with the pin lock function. Let's say we do want a pin lock. Let's turn that bad boy on. Lock type, manual, set the mode to auto or manual lock device. Let's just do it manual. And let's say we want the pin number 1, let's say 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, confirm the pin. 1, 1, 1, 1. Boom. Now, obviously, the time settings, you can change that around. Okay, pretty simple to do there. The vibration, back to the vibration. But going back to the pin lock, you can always shut this bad boy off if you don't want to deal with it. Boom. I don't want to deal with it. And to get out of this, because all it's going to do is keep cycling around from function to function to function, hold down the menu button, and it just brings it right back to where you need it. And the power, the mode has been sent back to power. Got this thing at 70 watts because that's about the top out level that I dig. Now we're going to check out the new rev-tech tank, the 24.5 millimeter tank, 3 air intake valves all the way around the bottom. Okay, closing nice and smooth and simple close. Boom. Now this is a swivel open, so hence the swivel. Boom. Okay, so there you go. Top filling. Everything is top filling these days. Very small mesh coil looking in there. Some of these just have massive mesh coils, unless I'm wrong. I'll take it out and take a look at it. But a very pronounced and very long 510 diode, which is really cool, but that pretty much guarantees you're going to get solid conductivity, which is always, always a good thing. Now let's take a look at what's in the rest of the box here. You get your micro USB cord, you get your extra coil, and of course you get your manual. And for those of you that just don't believe me and you want to argue, Joe, why don't you show me everything? Okay, so there you go. You get the battery safety info, just in case you don't know anything about reverse polarity protection. A huge warning card just to let you know if you're dumb, it is not our fault, that kind of thing. Warranty card, and of course a quick start guide as opposed to the quick start guide that I showed you initially. So there you go. There's the swivel top with the rev tank. And here's just everything in a nutshell, just a little bit more in depth. Now, the locking is something that I did not mention. Let's turn this bad boy on. Go 1, 2, 3. Locked. All the good stuff comes with a lock these days, guys. 1, 2, 3. Unlock. Okay, so good as new. That's what I'm talking about. Now we're ready to vape it up. So everything is incredibly simple. Like I said, I mean, I don't want to waste a ton of time going into the little itty bitty nitty gritties, and I'll probably end up editing a ton of this stuff out anyways, because I've probably lost most of you about at this particular point. Here is the replacement coil on the inside, and if you look, of course, you get a spare glass sleeve and some spare gasket, as well as some spare O-rings. Ooh, look at this. This is actually kind of cool. Monogrammed charge cord, and it's even woven. I like that. Okay, so it'll last a little bit longer. Okay, now it was worth the money. Now it was worth the money. Okay, I'm very crafty, so I have to see what all the hubbub is about the new Rev tank. Because this thing has just been massively sensationalized, one thing that I'm already noticing, if you haven't noticed, is that you've got the center portion, which is kind of connected to the top portion. And all you got is this little middle center pieced chimney, and there is no coil in between. The coil is actually on the lower portion, which completely screws over the size of the coil. And just looking at the size of this bad boy, it was very deceiving at first. If you notice, this actually looks fairly reminiscent to an iJoy mesh coil. If you take a look at this bad boy, you can see the mesh coil is very similar to an iJoy mesh coil in terms of its size and overall structure, shape a little bit too. The one thing that I do notice is that as opposed to the iJoy coils, the opening percentage-wise, the inside just diameter is pretty wide. It's pretty massive. And it's an interesting design. Typically, it just goes into the bottom base, and then you've got your top, and then you just screw it in like so. But that is not the case. On this one, you've got the center piece, the little middle piece right here, which is kind of interesting, and then the chimney. So, as opposed to having the liquid basically just floating and surrounding itself around the coil, you've actually got the liquid literally suspended over and on top of the coil itself, constantly depositing it with gravity instead of just surrounding it and seeping into the sides of the coil itself. That is something that is unique to me. I've never seen that design before, at least in something this new. So we're gonna screw this bad boy on, and actually, tell you what we're gonna do. We're not gonna screw it on. I'm going to fill it first. Couple minutes of saturation here. New atomizer, 0.279 or 0.174. Now it says that because I tested this thing out with a different tank. So what it's going to say is, boom, new atomizer, you want the old one, which is 0.174. Hit the up ramp, it'll set that, but you're gonna have to reset the wattage. Now, I always start low. Let's take a look at the coil that came with this bad boy. Now, I think this is the M1 coil that comes already installed with the tank. I'm kind of having trouble finding that info on the back of the box here, but it's clocking out at 0.21 ohms. The mesh, the M1 single mesh tells me that it clocks out at 0.18 ohms, 40 to 80, so 70 is pretty much a sweet spot for me on that one. I think it's gotten some solid saturation at this point, at least. So, massive air intake, a little bit of an annoying sound, but not too bad. Pretty quick on the saturation level though. I'm going to turn this down actually to 65 watts. Okay, so the one thing that I am noticing is that the air is coming through massively. So I'm going to close that off just a tinge. Closing off the air intake just by about 50% has allowed it to give just the feel of most of the traditional tanks that I dig that just have two air intake valves on the bottom location. All the way, I think, is just a little bit more than my lung capacity can take, to be honest with you. So this thing goes up by a full wattage at a time. I'm going to bring this back up to 70 watts. And that's actually a little bit more air intake than I can take at once. The burn on this is incredibly quick, and burn is my little Joe of all vapes term for the fire speed. Now it touted that this thing fired at 0.02 seconds quick. And let me tell you something, I believe it. It is an immediate fire. Absolutely immediate. There's that little breathing light, as you can see right there. Once you hit this thing, I mean, that is quick. I'm gonna have to turn this thing back down to 65. You know what I'm gonna do is turn it actually down to 60, because this clock's at anywhere between 40 to 80 watts on the M1 coil. That's a little bit more Jovial vape speed. This thing took me massively by surprise. So let's look at some of the technical aspects. First of all, the screen, huge screen, massively bright, gorgeous screen, absolutely beautiful, and the glass can be replaced from what I come to understand. Once you hit the fire button, it shows the dashboard, and then after a while it just kind of sits and it chills and it does its thing, and then eventually it is going to turn to the clock face. Boom, a beautiful clock face that actually kind of resonates far within the portrait style of the face of this mod, so it kind of has a little bit of a 3D effect going on here. The backlighting is unbelievably beautiful. Now, the only way this could be cooler is if somewhere down the road, maybe with a firmware upgrade, you were able to load your own pictures onto the background. That might be something really, really cool for another firmware upgrade, because similar to kind of like what the Aspire Naboo does right now. rev-tech definitely has something that can be a solid front runner. And with 32 megabytes of onboard memory, they've definitely got enough going on that you can get that function if you want. What I do know is that they didn't fill the entire memory board with, you know, just a ton of features that didn't allow you to have a little bit of something extra. So I'm seeing a firmware update in the future that will allow you to put your own background wallpaper into this bad boy. Maybe the next rev-tech mod will actually be touchscreen. That might be kind of a cool little addition. So what we're looking at is definitely a massive upgrade as comparatively to the original 3 rev-tech mods. The Phantom is light enough in comparison to the other ones. It's still fairly heavy, even at a dual 18650. Now, I don't think that that's going to be a really big downplay by any means, but everybody's a stickler, including myself. I still would have liked to see this in a 2700 model, but you know what? Beggars can't be choosers, and this is still a dang good mod. rev-tech, I think, has outdone themselves at this point with the amount of features that are still leaving so many to be able to keep in tune with the times as everything moves. I mean, vaping, you know, the mod industry is kind of like technology. They say once every 6 months, you're already outdated. That's pretty much what it is in the mod industry as far as the vaping industry is concerned. They're coming up with some awesome stuff, and rev-tech has definitely upped their game. They've stepped it up with just cool little features like the breathing light function, just the overall screen, the firmware upgradable capabilities, 32 megabytes onboard memory. I love the new tank with the triple airflow, massive airflow, real smooth airflow lock right here. Of course, the mesh coil upgrade, got to keep that. And I really dig the new design where the coil is located below and the juice is on the top. It allows for, I think, a better saturation of the coil, and so far, no leaks. We'll see. I'll lay this mod on its side tonight and wake up tomorrow morning. Hopefully, it will not be sitting in a puddle of some of the best juice available. Anyways, in my opinion. So, how to wrap this up? Well, rev-tech, thank you so much once again for sending Jovial Vapes some of your best. They even sent me 3 boxes of brand new coils just in case I run out. So you got the M4, the M3, and the M1, the single, the triple, and the quadruple. Everything clocking out just where you need it to be between 0.18 and 0.15. Pretty much everything that you need. And of course, it's got its best from 70 to 85 watts or from 60 to 70, depending on what you want to use. That was very cool. The only other company that ever sent me spare coils was Freemax. Love my Freemax. But rev-tech definitely has it going on. Life in the fast lane with their new Optimax chip. I don't have a US price point on these bad boys yet, but if they're anything like the old ones, it'll definitely be within about $100 or so. Hopefully, I'll find a convenient way to get you the new ones, the Phantom mods, at a very good price. Trust me, it'll be a reliable source. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so guys, thank you so much for sticking it with me. Once again, rev-tech, thank you very much for sticking it with me as well, supplying me with your new Phantom mod for all of your reviewing pleasure. Nice and warm even at 60 watts, even though it says best is between about 60 to 70. This is 40 to 80, literally on this coil, the M1. Play with it, give her a little bit of a dance, see what she does for you. I am spectacularly happy with this mod, and I'm going to get some fun out of this bad boy. Guys, this is Joe of All Vapes, your man, your guy in that vaping sky, asking you please to stay humble, keep a loving peeky out. Whatever you do, wherever you go, love yourselves, love each other, and keep it extraordinarily, massively cloudy. Hey everybody, this is Joe of All Vapes. Thank you for watching. For the best in vape reviews, pound that subscribe button, and don't forget, vaping saves lives.